You're at a dinner, or maybe a work meeting, or even a party with lifelong friends. Around you, people are laughing, conversations are flowing, and the clinking of glasses and voices fills the room. You should be having a good time. You should feel like part of it. But then, suddenly, it happens. It's a physical sensation, almost as if an invisible glass pane descends from the ceiling, enclosing you in a bubble of silence. You look at the person across from you who is talking passionately about the weather, a TV show, or office gossip, and a devastating question crosses your mind. What am I even doing here? It's not that you don't love them. It's not that you feel superior. It's simply that you're operating on a different radio frequency. While everyone else seems to enjoy the surface waves, you feel the weight of the deep ocean beneath your feet. And that depth scares you, not because it's dangerous, but because you have no one to share it with. If you've ever felt that stinging loneliness, the kind that hurts more when you're with people than when you're alone in your room, this video is for you. Today, we're moving past the superficial advice of get out more or smile more. We're going to explore the true psychology behind the mind of a deep thinker and understand why your brain seems to have been designed for a connection the modern world rarely offers. Reframing. Loneliness isn't a lack of people, it's a lack of resonance. Society often tells us that loneliness is a social skills problem. If you feel lonely, they tell you to be more extroverted or learn to go with the flow. But for the deep thinker, the problem isn't a lack of people, it's a lack of resonance. Imagine you are a cello tuned with exquisite precision. To sound right, to feel that your existence makes sense, you need other instruments that vibrate at a similar frequency. But suddenly you find yourself in a room full of tambourines. Tambourines are fun, they're rhythmic, they serve a purpose, but they cannot resonate with the deep, vibrating note you emit. There's nothing wrong with the tambourines, and there's nothing wrong with you. There is simply no resonance. What you're experiencing is called cognitive and emotional dissonance. Your mind seeks patterns, meanings, and underlying truths in everything it observes. When you're forced to engage in exchanges that lack that substance, what we call small talk, your brain doesn't just get bored, it gets exhausted. It feels like it's wasting precious energy processing information that leads nowhere. The mechanism, the neuroscience of depth. Why does this happen to you and not everyone else? It's not a choice, it's a trait. Here is where the science comes in. Number 1, the default mode network. In psychology and neuroscience, we talk about the default mode network. This is the part of the brain that activates when we aren't focused on an external task. It's the network for introspection, memory, imagining the future, and processing the self. Studies suggest that in people with a high capacity for deep thought, this network is much active and has denser connections. Your default brain is constantly analyzing the meaning of life, questioning motives, and connecting dots between what you read yesterday and what you're seeing today. When someone interrupts that rich process to ask, "How was traffic?" the clash is almost violent to your nervous system. Number 2, divergent thinking and hyperconnectivity. Many deep thinkers possess what we call divergent thinking. While the average person sees an object, say an apple, you see the apple but also think of Newton's gravity, the agricultural cycle, the temptation of Eden, and Apple's product design. Your brain makes 10 connections where others make 1. This is brilliant for creativity, but it's a recipe for social isolation. While you're trying to talk about the 5th connection, your listener is still on the apple. That gap is what creates the feeling of disconnection. Number 3, low latent inhibition. This is a fascinating concept. Latent inhibition is the biological filter that allows humans to ignore irrelevant stimuli, like the hum of the AC or the pattern on a carpet. People with low latent inhibition absorb much more from their environment. If you're a deep thinker, your filter is likely very porous. You catch the micro gesture of sadness in your friend's eye, the contradiction in their speech, and the tension in the room. You process so much information that social interaction becomes overwhelming. You feel alone because you're watching a 4K premiere of reality while everyone else seems to be watching a blurry, pixelated version. Practical strategies, navigating the world without losing your essence. So what's the solution? Condemn yourself to be a hermit? Absolutely not. The solution isn't to change who you are, but to change how you manage your mental bandwidth. Tool 1. The entry point technique. Understand that small talk isn't the destination, it's the toll. Deep thinkers often despise superficial talk, but psychologically it serves as a security scan. Humans use it to check if the other person is a threat or an ally. The advice? Don't skip the toll. Participate in the first 5 minutes as if it were an anthropological experiment. But here's the trick. Throw out a depth hook. Instead of saying, "Yeah, work is fine," try, "Work is intense. Lately I've been wondering if we're actually designed to be in front of a screen for 8 hours. What do you think?" If they bite, you found an ally. If not, you know you can stay on the surface without wasting extra energy. Tool 2. Curated environments. Stop trying to fit into large, generic circles. The deep thinker suffers in quantity and shines in quality. Seek out high intellectual density niches, book clubs, writing workshops, philosophy forums, or specific interest communities. Loneliness drops drastically when you stop being a social generalist and become a specialist. It's better to have 2 friends you can talk to about the soul than 20 acquaintances you only talk to about the weather. Tool 3. The date with yourself. Solitude versus loneliness. Learn to distinguish between loneliness, painful isolation, and solitude, chosen, nourishing alone time. Your deep-thinking mind needs time alone to process all the information it absorbs. If you don't give yourself that space, you'll arrive at social gatherings already depleted. Schedule your solitude. Use it to write, create, or just think. When your introspection tank is full, you are much more resilient to the lack of depth than others. Warnings and caveats. Not all silences are equal. It's important to pause here. While we are talking about a personality and processing trait, sometimes this disconnection can be linked to other conditions that deserve attention. For example, highly sensitive people, HSP, experience this due to a finer nervous system. Individuals with ADHD may feel disconnected because their minds move faster than the conversation allows. And on the autism spectrum, the disconnect may come from difficulty reading implicit social codes. Furthermore, if this loneliness is accompanied by a total lack of interest in others, persistent sadness, or an inability to function, please consider that there might be a component of depression or social anxiety. Being a deep thinker is a gift, but it shouldn't be a prison. If you feel the wall is too high to climb alone, seeking help from a therapist is not a sign of weakness, but of strategic intelligence. Psychological support. Validating your inner world. I want to tell you something no one may have told you today. You are not a difficult person. You aren't too intense, too serious, or bitter. We live in a culture that prizes speed over depth. We are asked to consume 15-second content and have instant opinions on everything. In a world rushing across the surface, having a mind that wants to dive is an act of silent resistance. Your ability to see beyond, to feel the beauty in melancholy, and to seek truth in conversation is what has moved humanity forward. Philosophers, artists, and great scientists felt exactly how you feel at that party. That loneliness is the space where creation is born. Don't see it as a scar, see it as an empty space waiting to be filled with something meaningful. Closing and call to action. In summary, you feel disconnected because your brain is designed for complexity in a world that often prefers the simple. You've learned that your loneliness is a lack of resonance, not a factory defect. Your neurobiology, like the DMN, pushes you inward. You can use depth hooks to find your people without burning out. The next time you're in a crowded room and feel that invisible glass descend, don't punish yourself. Take a deep breath, look around with curiosity, and remember that somewhere there is another person feeling exactly the same way, waiting for someone like you to throw the first depth hook. If you identified with this video, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. What is that one question or topic you always want to bring up but are afraid is too deep? I read them all. If you want to dive deeper into managing your deep thinking mind, you can download my free guide called Protocol for Intense Minds in the Modern World in the link in the description. And if you feel like your mind never stops, I recommend watching this other video on how to calm overthinking without losing your creativity. Thank you for being here, for thinking deeply, and for reminding us that there is so much more beneath the surface. I'll see you in the next video.